What happened, son?
So I was hunting and I was listening and I heard some leaves moving and the small doe walked out like 5 feet in front of me from the hunting stand, then walked over by the corn, was facing away from me with her back of her towards me, and I was waiting for her to turn and she just turned, waited like 30 seconds to get sighted in on her and shot her.
Can you turn back towards me and show me that entry wound? Wow, nice, buddy. When she ran off in the woods, how long did you have to trail her to find her?
I didn't track with blood, I just looked into the woods and there she was laying right there.
So what'd you do to her throat?
I took it out and picked her up and started bringing her back.
Son, you can provide for a family.
She's getting heavy.
Yeah, should we look for a wife for you?
No thanks.
Okay, thank you, son. So exciting news around here. This lady told me just over a year ago we needed more sons. She thought they came in handy for some reason. And praise God, we got one yesterday after like a day of labor. This woman is amazing. And now this guy just reminded us one of the reasons sons come in handy. Now, of course, his sister is also proven useful in the venison acquiring area of life. But why don't you share? He was just gonna tell his mom the story. I figured I'd capture it on camera here.
Okay, so I was sitting there and I'm listening and I heard these crunching of the leaves and I was like, huh. And I kind of looked back this way and I was looking through like my little squares, like this big one that I look through that I'm gonna shoot through. And I'm looking and I can't see anything just quite yet. And I look through like all the cedar branches and I look this way and there's a deer like standing like 5 feet from me and she's like this tall and she's standing there. And I'm like shivering and my heart just starts like this and it's just going and going and going and I'm just like, and I'm kind of shivering and I didn't want the deer like to hear me super like the little click to put it off onto fire. And so I just kind of just slowly went and didn't even hear, barely even hear a tick, and lifted up the thing and she was facing away from me like here's the corn and I'm over there at the door and she's eating like this for a while, like maybe 30 seconds, and then she kind of turns like this and starts eating. And I shot her, and I heard her just boom, and she jumped and just took off into the woods. And I heard something, and I'm listening, and then all of a sudden I just hear, and I heard her running away. I was like, man, she's far in that woods.
So we went to look for her.
Yeah, and I went to look for her, and Dad goes, wait 30 seconds, and go once I go around the corners to see if she runs out that way.
Right, I went the other way to the other side of the woods with the crossbow just to make sure that way I've got, it's our fence where he is and the 2 corners I'm covering. So he gave me a head start.
And I counted 25 and then I counted to 3. I was like, oh, how's she supposed to go in? And I didn't even look for the blood trail. I just looked in the woods and she was just laying right there. So I took out her throat and then I called Papa and he came and then we brought her back up.
And what do you do now?
We have to skin her.
Get out there.
Sorry.
Red, you got experience shooting them. You got experience cleaning them too, right?
Yes.
Whoa, it does not want to focus on you. All right, go help her, please.
Yes, sir.
Or him. Help him.
Yes, sir.
So, when we're hunting in our hunting blind, normally I just go by myself, and I've got one little square on a cattle panel to look through, and that's where we fire through. You can kind of see through some of the other stuff, but that's the only real visibility. So if I have one of the children in the hunting stand, they've got the visibility. I can sometimes make other stuff out, but pretty much they've got the line of sight. And Red Pepper did really good last year with it. Monster Truck did really good this year. What did we see when we were out one of the other mornings?
We seen 7 deer, a bobcat, and 3 turkeys.
Yeah, and the deer never came close. The bobcat was really cool. He got to really see it and watch it through the scope. So what do you think it pounced at?
It looked like it pounced right onto a rabbit and then took off into the woods.
Yeah, and what did you see when it came back the other way?
When it came back the other way, it looked like it had some nice droopy nipples, so it might have some cubs somewhere around here. Yeah,
he thought she had some big teats and thought maybe it had some kittens around there somewhere out in the woods. And then this one, we were trying to determine exactly what happened. And what happened was when we found the arrow, the bolt from the crossbow, it was back behind it a bit, and it was facing back at us, back at the hunting blind. And his shot placement, where did it go in?
So it went in right here.
Okay, because what are you aiming for?
I'm aiming for the heart.
He's aiming for the hearts, and what do you take as a consolation prize? If you miss the heart, what do you hope to hit?
Lungs.
Lungs.
So most of the time I would try to aim a little bit further down, maybe right there.
Yeah.
But I hit here, and it went in like this because she was facing like this.
Right.
And so it went, shoo, and it went in. It hit the esophagus that goes to the lungs. Then it went into the little heart, like pump blood thingy. Then it went shot up, and it went through the stomach, which isn't the best because it makes stuff, so I had to wash it off. And then it nicked the pancreas and flew through here and into the leg and out this side.
So yeah, we saw that this was done, and I was like, this thing wasn't facing backwards, was it, son? And he wasn't sure for a moment, and yeah, no, he hit it right, he lined up right. Do you got the skin right now?
Yes, sir, I have it right here.
So you can show me on the skin how this went down too.
So I tried to, whenever we do skins, we try to get off all the meat at first.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice and clear. And all that meat, even the thin strips, is really tasty stuff, because what do we make?
Jerky.
Jerky and smokehouse venison bits, yeah. So show me where that went in.
So it went in here.
Right there, right next to the front of it.
And came out.
Came out that hind quarter in the leg. Wow, you got more water, Mija?
Yeah.
You can go dump it on there or hand it to your brother.
I'll set this down.
And Red Pepper and Monster Truck did everything with this deer. I just kind of pointed out where the disconnects were, and I didn't have to touch this deer carcass at all, other than I helped it over the fence after he'd taken out the throat. But they skinned it, they went through, you know, he said, hey, I nicked the pancreas. You know, he knows what parts are in there.
And the cool thing about this is I was looking, and it cut a rib in half right there.
Oh yeah.
And then up in here, if you feel in here, it cut this whole entire leg bone right here.
It cut the whole leg bone. Do you want me to maybe debone the other hind quarter and maybe salt Garrett? You could save it for some time.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, yesterday he had a baby brother. Today he got his first deer. And it's not massive. And he may have provided this much this much meat in one sitting before with the amount of suckers you've bow fished. You could have had that much meat. But this is the most meat you ever provided in a single shot, right?
Yes, sir.
So I don't think we're very cool tonight, but we're going to let it hang for a bit. We'll raise it up for a bit, and we'll probably wind up quartering it out and putting it in the fridges. Thankfully, we just got a second running fridge. And I don't know, what do you think? Smoke some stuff? Yeah, the ribs look good. He likes the young, tender ribs. That's a good meal. Man.
Like I said, she walked up like 5 feet in front of me and then turned around the other way and just went straight down.
Man.
It was so like, it was kind of interesting because I've never been like that close to a deer. So I'm just sitting there, all of a sudden I hear crunching leaves, so I look through like the cedar, and beside me there's a deer just like right there, looking the opposite way away from me, and I'm like, I'm so glad that thing didn't smell me, because it would have just took off.
Sure, and I mean from there, it's close enough you could poke it with a fishing pole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, he could poke it with a fishing pole and it would just get startled, not knowing what's behind it. It's one thing when you see him all the way across the field slowly start coming up, and even that can be exciting. But to have one just randomly, appear out of nowhere, essentially, right in front of you.
And like I said, I was so like, it was so interesting. I was just like, my heart just started pounding like super fast, and I'm like trying to be quiet and just slowly starting to breathe, and I slowly, because I didn't want to like spook it by picking up the bow right there, so I just slowly just kind of clicked it off safe really slowly, and I slowly picked up the bow, and she was facing away, so it was much easier instead of her facing like coming up at me.
Right.
So she was facing away, so I just picked it up and was like watching her through the scope, and she just
I like to hide behind it and kind of hide behind the scope, maybe like close my other eye.
I had my hat like this, and I'm just looking through the scope like this, like here's my hat, here's my thing, and just my eyes and this are showing. Like, I think I was well loaded.
And with all that excitement, were you still able to be still enough place the shot you wanted?
Definitely. I was like wiggling, like I could feel myself wiggling, but I was not wiggling the crossbow. Like I put it on it and I stayed right there in that spot, like
I like having that resting,
Yeah.
the resting place in the cattle panel, and sometimes you just kind of control your breathing or
And
take a pause.
sometimes that little bar on the thing has that little stopper, so I like pulled back a little bit on the cattle panel.
Yeah.
And so it just like kind of holds it still for me, and just boom. I shot it, and she just like swung and straight into the woods. And I heard tons of kicking, so I thought she scampered off real far. But I think it was she ran all the way in there, and I heard her running in there, and then she was kicking on the leaf, so it sounded like she
Right, I
was
think
right
that's
away.
what was tipped over.
And slowly was like kicking the leaves for the last thing, so it sounded like she was far away.
Yeah, I went all the way to the other corner of that entire thing just to make sure she, you know, we could see where she went if she was still up, but you found her like right away. And when your sister shot her buck last year, it just tipped over and was right there, but she used a 30-30. So this was not bad with a crossbow, and your shot, that was great. You took care of it.
Can't wait to get a bigger one.
Hey, I'll tell you what, pretty much anything you get should be bigger in this. But there's nothing wrong with taking this one out. You know, there really isn't. It's
meat, and
meat.
if I would have waited, it would have ate the corn and just walked away, and I'm sure nothing else would have came.
Right, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of daylight left, so.
And it was coming right when the leaves started to settle down. When like the wind just barely started to fell down, I heard the crunching of the leaves, and she just walked right out.
So quick question for you. I've taken you shopping before at the store for meat, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you like pushing a shopping cart better or crossbow hunting?
I do like pushing the cart, but I think this is much, much, much funner.
Came out hunting again this morning, and this boy. So why don't you tell me what happened this morning?
So this morning I went out and I was sitting in the hunting stand and I looked around and I waited about a half hour and I was still sitting there, and then I seen a small spiker that came out. Like his spike was this long on one side and like that short on the other one. Yeah. And so he was kind of walking around.
And he was always too far, right?
Yeah, he was always too far. And then the 8-pointer came running out that we've been seeing.
Yeah.
And he came out and he just ran straight across the field. And then 2 does came out and I was watching them. One just ran straight across the field. The other one wanted to kind of come up here. Then she kind of just went into the woods.
And straight across the field is way down that hill from this hunting stand. That clump of branches, there's the hunting stand. Here's where we try to lure him into. And he's got the crossbow he's been using sighted in for 20 yards. So that's basically the shot he's trained to take, and that's what I want him doing. So after those 4 went,
then I was hearing something. I was like, oh, and I kind of just moved off my seat, sat down my crossbow, and I was like, oh, kind of closed my eyes, and then I looked because I heard something, and a big old doe was coming up right here.
All right, so she's like 18 yards from the stand there.
And she's walking, and then the little deer just walks out like this tall, and she still has her little spots or whatever. She kind of walks out, and I was like, oh, I could take a big one or a little one. And then she turns sideways, the mom, and she kind of looks towards the corner, and she takes another step, and another one, and she stands right here, and she looks that way, and it was like probably 10 seconds worth of seeing her. I already shot.
Yeah, and the thing too with this shot is when you see this stuff like right away, there's just, don't cast shadows on it, child. There's just piles of blood immediately, which made it really cool. So, son, why don't you lead the way? And that's an easy blood trail to follow. The last one I shot, boy, it left blood everywhere.
On the tree.
Oh yeah, up on that wild cherry.
And I can already see her from here.
Yeah.
She ran up through these bushes.
Yeah, she looks beautiful. And big.
And I was like, okay, well I can see her, so I can follow that through there.
The blood continues through there right up to the deer. You guys can probably see it. It's that spot in the center, out in the sun.
And then here's where the blood continues.
Oh yeah. And we're just back on the trail hard. Son, that's incredible for a crossbow.
Oh, yeah, I shot it. I got down.
That's basically the shot he's trained to take. And boy, now we take the throat out too, but son.
Normally I try to aim a little bit lower. We'll try to
Yeah.
aim here. But
It worked.
it worked. So I was happy
Hey.
with that.
Good job. That's 2 for you already this year. She got 1 last year. He got 2 this year. I got 5 last year. I got 3 this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 2 hanging and smokehouse is going. Wow. What you doing?
Learn how to harvest food from the wild.
Is it working?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for watching. Hit the like button. Thumbs up. For real.
The cow head is good?
Yeah.
That's because you know.